right, let's go, people. We recording?
Chit.
Yeah.
Hop right into it.
What's up? What's happening, y'all? This is the beatconnsc podcast. Now, this is episode 1.2.
Yeah,
This is episode 1.2. This is episode 1.2. I go by the name of Kinetic Life, and right next to me I have
K Staggers.
and then we got a guest here tonight. Well, today, this evening. Dope beat maker,
Buddy Rogers. Beats by Young.
Beats by Young, aka
Yes.
Buddy Rogers.
Yeah.
What's happening, man?
Nothing much, man.
What's
I'm
good, what's
glad
good,
to be
good.
here. Glad to be here.
All right.
Got some favors and some water. Let's go.
So we got an agenda we're gonna go by strictly by. Well, not strictly by. Tend to run off on a tangent and whatnot. But first thing we like to do is tell stories, man. So how'd you get started as a producer?
Oh man, that was funny. I was buying beats from a friend of mine, and I wanted my own kind of style, but I couldn't explain to him what I wanted in a good enough fashion.
So what first was, why were you buying beats in the first place?
Because I didn't know anything
So
about anything.
So you were
All I
artist
knew is-
first.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
All I knew is I rapped. I wanted to rap. That's all I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go and I would watch him make a beat, and I'd be like a hawk in the background. Like, I want to do that. I can do that. Like, so I found the demo for Fruity Loops 3. I downloaded it. And I started. I remember I went to his house at like 7 in the morning. I was beating down his door. I'm like, "Hey, I need you to come put some bass on this beat. It's fire, and I don't know how to do it." It was the worst drum loop and like a ding ding da ding ding. It was terrible. But that got me started. Ever since then, I couldn't stop making beats. Like I was on it every day.
What year was this?
This was my 9th grade year. So I had to be 13, 14.
Okay.
And I was in there making beats.
That's what's up, man. So is that your most memorable thing of doing as a producer?
Getting started, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of memorable things being a producer, though. Like, a lot of crazy things happen. Like, I go to a guy's house to work on some music. He's in a wheelchair. He's a good friend of ours. And he said, bring the whole setup, man, if you can. So I bring the whole setup to him. And I was supposed to be recording him and another female artist. She was going to do the hooks. And I ended up recording the barber that was there cutting hair.
Wow.
Yeah, who went and got his saxophone.
So stop right there. So you hold on, hold on. Before you go any further, so you're an artist, you're a producer, and you're an engineer.
Facts.
Okay, we'll get
Triple threat.
Yeah. More of a producer and an artist now than an engineer.
Okay.
I felt like that was just hurting me musically. And it was stressful too, by the way. But yeah, that was hilarious. The man was like, "Hey, I need to go get my saxophone. I'll be right back." I'm like, bro, I didn't even know I was recording you today. But all right, he had the money. I had the time.
That's what's up. And actually, in the beginning, we do do more than one thing at a time, to get yourself out there, because you might run into another producer, y'all got a bunch of beats and then don't know what to do with it other than, make beat tapes and stuff like that. So if one of you guys, I guess in the retrospect, have to become an artist, to get yourself out there. Then engineering too, if you're a producer, engineering kind of comes secondhand, right?
Exactly. You gotta mix your own beats.
I agree.
Yeah, you got mix it down. So so what is your process as far as making beats? How do you get started in a session?
I just sit down and I find the first sound that strikes me, and then I work from there. Like that's pretty much it. I don't go in with any particular motivation or anything. I just sit down and try to create.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's best for me. When I try and think of something, it doesn't turn out the way I want it to.
trying to force it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So you use like drum packs or use live instrumentations for the most part, because I know you use a lot of samples.
Yeah, definitely. Mostly just drum packs right now. When I can get my hands on some live sounds, I always try to use those because I don't use them as often as I should, but I don't have access to them like I should. So.
Right. Okay. So what equipment do you use? I know you use FL Studio.
A slew of keyboards. The M Audio Oxy M49, the Oxy M Air 25, the Machine Micro.
Nice.
And pretty much just the regular keyboard, because you can use a regular keyboard for Fruity Loops, which is another reason why people love it. Yep. So you can use your computer.
Yeah, actually, I stumbled upon that like by accident because I'm used to using the mouse and everything. And actually, when I first got it, I used the XM49, that first M Audio, and then I don't know what I did. I just hit a key by accident. I was like, and it said ding, and I'm like, what was that? So I found out that option. Also, like if you use a regular keyboard, a Casio or Juno or something like that, you can use it as a MIDI. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So that's like two instruments in one. In retrospect, if you want to use sound packs and live instrumentations. So what projects are you working on currently?
Currently, I'm trying to get a project off the ground with an artist that goes by the name of Jay Wren. He's in Atlanta right now. He's originally from South Carolina. We're trying to get his project off the ground, but I don't know where it's going. I try to have a nice lead on what I want, but I don't really know what I want. That's why I like working with new artists, because I don't know what to expect. Right. And I've worked with him in the past, so I didn't have a direction then either. I was just making beats and feeding him beats, and he would eat them, so I had no problem with it. But now I want to take it in some kind of direction to where I like movies. I want my albums to sound like movies. Okay. And when I do that, I think it shows a different side of them, also showing a different side of me. So that's what I really want to happen.
That's dope.
I think that's what we're gonna make happen.
That's dope.
But that's it right now. Although I have been working with North Kings. That's a very good group, to say the least. I did their first project, so we're gonna do the second project pretty soon and get that out. Okay. That's dope. Yeah, cool. Probably by the second quarter of the year.
So backing up real quick, the first artist that you work with in Atlanta, you said he didn't have a direction as far as recording, or was it something?
It's more me that doesn't have the direction.
Okay.
Because I haven't had the communication that I would like to have with them yet. Right. As far as what the project wants to sound like and where we want to go with it specifically. So once we get that ironed out, I think it'll be a lot better, because right now we're just recording songs. Right. And that's fine, but I want direction. I need direction.
Yeah. That's kind of inspirational when they kind of give you a direction and all that good stuff. But usually what I like to do, and I want to tell you what to do as far as you, but I do usually record about 6 to 8 songs with a particular artist, see where they're going at, so I can get an outside look at them. Also, like I said, talking to them and networking. Also seeing what their profile look like. Who could be their picture audience, a crowd, or whatever. Yeah. Outside family members and homeboys, of course, or whatever. Kind of pick up their style and feed them beats in that, in that direction. Then after maybe between 7 and 10 songs, I come up with an idea, kind of pitch it to them, and then I'll have an idea and they'll have an idea. We kind of go the same way, you know what I'm saying? Because some songs can start off from the bare minimum. You might just give them a loop, they can write to that. Or they'll have a whole verse written, and you kind of know what the cadence going to, so that kind of help you dig into their style and produce and whatnot. So
yeah, exactly.
So also, you just dropped the album.
Yeah.
Talk on that, man. You got to speak on that.
You got to say everything else about the album.
I thought I was going to say something about that before, but
Yeah. I'm speaking from a producer standpoint.
Producer indeed.
You know what I mean? That's what I feel like I am first and foremost now, because I took so long of a break off from recording because I lost so much music and it was a stressful time. I didn't even want to record. Nothing on the radio inspired me to want to do anything. Nothing like that. So I didn't make another beat on that album. The whole album is produced by Real Ill Music, and I wrote 6 songs for it and was like, hey, I'm done. And I asked him, I said, what do you think would be a good length album? And he said 10 songs. I said, cool. I ended up recording 12. So it was a fun process, to be honest. He just kept sending me beats, and I would write and write and write. and I went and recorded at the Jam Room with Fat Rat, and that was a fun experience too, because he knows what he's doing. He's a dope artist as well, and to get to work with him, that was very fun.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And I actually heard the album a couple of times, man. I like the whole ambiance of it, man. It's like it's indescribable, man. But it's like you down for the lyricism and stuff like that. It's dope. It's dope. You know what I'm saying? Like we need that. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing against the trap music. I do trap beats and all that good stuff, but like something you can dive into and listen to front to back.
Yeah, you want to hear the story, man. I think everybody has, I think there's plenty of room for everybody's story to get out.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. And, we can't all do the same things. That's why being different is good. And that's why the album is called Mood, because I felt like that's a good mood setter. Like, I can ride through the whole thing without having to, skip a track or anything like that. And I know I'm saying that because it's my music, but, I've heard this from people, so it's not just me hyping my own stuff up.
Right.
So, I love it.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope. So any achievements I know you talked about the sponsorship. I think that's a dope achievement. I didn't know that about you. Any other achievements that you got? Actually, you can talk on that too, man. The whole trap guy thing, because that's all over the place. I've seen a lot on Instagram. I've seen a lot on Facebook as well. So
yeah, they blowing up. It started as a small company, and they were just reaching out to producers, seeing if they could promote the brand and be a part of making beats with that sound in it. And I was happy to be a part of it. They said they seen the memes, they liked them, they heard the beats are good. They wanted a partnership to pay me. I suggested that I just get some of them sounds. That's
the most important part, right?
Exactly.
Really
like, you're just gonna pay me, and I'm gonna pay you back. So I mean, let's cut out the middleman. And they were down with it, which was cool. And I still have a very good relationship with them. I always support anything that they do. I still make beats with their VST, so it's a very good company, man. And they blowing up. They got the Track God 2 out, and that's fire. It's very fire.
Yeah, I tried to check that out. That's actually pretty dope, man.
Yeah,
it's pretty dope. What's your for those who don't know, what's your contacts and social media info?
My social media info is at Beats by Young on Instagram. They call me the meme man for some reason, but the memes are hilarious, so I'm not mad at none of that. You can find me on Facebook, Buddy Rogers, and that's pretty much it. I don't really do Twitter, Snapchat or none of that. That's some extraness.
Gotcha. So from the side of agenda, man, how do you describe your style? Because I know it's just a little. I can't describe your style. I'm gonna be honest with you, but it's
weird. It's I don't know how to describe it either.
Let me tell you why. Because like you said, the memes and stuff like that, those is funny as hell.
Yeah.
Your body is funny, and then the little skits and stuff like that's like, what is this kid doing? And then, but your music is like all serious, for the most part. So it's like, how do you?
It's a lot of range.
That's what I'm saying.
Very complex.
It's
exactly.
complex. So how do you describe your style?
It's weird because I'm a character, outside of being an artist. Like I'm hilarious. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
And most of those memes that I make, those are real situations.
What's wrong with the dad? So the situation with his dad, this fictional dad.
The dad is crazy. I can't
Oh man. Yo, I'm telling you.
The camera just flashed when he's just sitting there like with the white beat on the hat, like you need to do something with yourself. And that's something that we can all relate to, man, when it comes to our parents and all that good stuff, man.
It's hilarious because, like I've been recording in the studio and I had like an engineer and his girlfriend fighting each other like while I'm recording. I'm like, hey, what are y'all doing? Like,
right.
This is not professional, bro. I'm trying to get this done seriously.
Right.
And it's hilarious.
Yeah, which is good, man, because like in this day and age, you got to do other things besides the music to stand out. You know what I'm saying? Content, especially in 2019, content is like you're kind of like your vehicle to people, being attracted to your beats and stuff like that, your music, whatever.
Exactly.
So if you can do anything to entertain, if you're somebody with charisma, or if you don't have charisma, you need to find some charisma because you got to entertain folks at the end of the day.
That's very true.
So, and we'll speak on like the worth and how interested people in music later on in the podcast. But we're gonna switch gears. We're gonna talk about mental health and producers. Anything in particular that you guys want to? I know it's going to be kind of a deep, might be a long conversation, man. But that's one of the things that's one of like something that a lot of people didn't talk about a while back to recently. But you know, being a producer, man, you spend hours and hours of making beats and stuff like that in your house by yourself, whatever. And so you know, you're putting your best foot forward, and when you bring it out, you expect the best reception, and sometimes you don't get that reception. But if it happens over and over again, kind of wear and tear at you, and kick your confidence a little bit. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think mental health, especially, and if we think about specific, well, let's just look at this hip hop. All right, everybody knows, generally speaking, hip hop it's predominantly African American. Of course, you know, other cultures over the past 40 years, you know, gotten involved in hip hop and in the culture. However, primarily come predominantly from the African American community. The thing is with that, and then when you look at it like that, you gotta look at the African American community. And then you gotta look at their view as it relates to health. But then you gotta look at their view as far as it relates to mental health. The biggest thing that we have is there's a big stigma within the African American community with mental health. Because the last thing I think anybody, you know, when we think mental health, first thing we think about is crazy. Crazy.
Right.
And the thing about crazy is, if you're crazy, and I would take Chappelle said this one time, people could call you crazy, it's like being dismissive. And so you're crazy, you put that person in the back of the house.
Right.
You know what I mean? Put them in the back of the house with TV, put the money in it like soul food.
Yep.
You know, he crazy, he ain't
Separate.
Yeah, exactly.
Something wrong with him.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, and as it relates to hip hop, and that's a lot of these things transfer over to hip hop too, because I think you have a lot of people who deal with mental health and deal with mental illness or different levels of it, but because of the stigma behind it, a lot of people aren't open to wanting to talk about it or to address it. So earlier this week, because I know Eric sent us over some information so we could do some research, and one of the things I thought was very interesting was throughout the country, the rates for people, as far as people with mental health or people receiving treatment for it, assistance for it, black males were one of the lower groups at like 6.6%. People will deal with African American males deal with mental health, and 10.3% of women deal with mental health issues, which is lower than like other populations. Well, like I said, whites it's like 11.3 for men, so it's almost double, and then with females it's 21.5. White females actually the highest.
Right.
And then like you have American Indian, Native American, like their numbers slightly higher, 16.3, 15.1. But then you have other communities too. So you got Asian community, which is actually the lowest. You would think African Americans would be the lowest, but actually the Asian community is much lower. They're at like 4.4 with males, and 5.3, and with Hispanics it's 5.5 and 9.2, male and female. And one of the things that made me realize was with mental health is it's a cultural thing. And I think, and what's very important to culture, music is important to culture. Very important. And so even when it comes back to hip hop, one of the things you see is, like I said, people want to avoid talking about those things because I think sometimes it's like when you say you're crazy or you're dealing with depression, you're dealing with those things. It's saying that you're dealing with, you know, you're weak. And I think sometimes, and even let's just look at it from a producer perspective. I do think a lot of times, a lot of producers, even people who might be more well known that we know about right now, like the Kanye West of the world, and even people that are lesser known, have always dealt with mental illness. But it's the ways in which they probably chose to treat now. So if you already have issues with mental illness, mental health, you might not go talk to a doctor, but you'll smoke that blunt, you know, you'll drink that drink. You know what I mean? Like, just reckless activity and stuff. Where everybody think that's just the life, you just turning up. At the same time, you're dealing with all these other things that you don't.
Essentially, you self-medicate.
Yeah. And I think that happens a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a crazy subject to talk about. And I did get the definition. Mental health is a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being.
Yeah.
So that pretty much it is what it is.
Yeah.
But think of all like all the popular songs that, you know, came and went, and you could just like the titles of songs, you know what I'm saying? It kind of speaks to the mental health, like Ghetto Boys, playing tricks on me.
Yeah.
That's one. Of course, the whole R. Kelly situation, you know, of course, there's the whole rape situation, but I think he's mentally ill. I
Yeah,
think that's
he
just
is.
what it is,
agree.
because the whole part when he's been sexually abused, you know what I'm saying, he carried that, whatnot, and didn't name that. Joe Budden also, he's somebody who talks all the time about his mental illness, and you know, he's one of those guys that like to cry on TV and stuff like that. You know, that's just what it is. Like I said earlier, when you put so much effort into your music, and then it comes out and you get the reception you get, you're heartbroken. You know what I'm saying? And you're upset, you know.
And I think that, I agree. And I think a lot of it, from producer perspective, is I think for a lot of producers, that's our way of communicating to the world.
Yes,
And,
exactly.
And you can see that being compounded, like with My Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yep.
Perfect example, like name stuff like that. Like you said, just kind of relaying off of that. But like you said, I got this vision. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all, but y'all don't understand me. And because y'all don't understand me, then it just puts me further down into that hole. And I think anybody can relate to it as a producer, because you know, there's certain ideas or concepts that we hear. You know, we're working on a beat or working on a project, we put all our time and our energy into it. We bring it to the artist. We got this idea, and they're like, I don't see it, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And one part of you is like, okay, you know, you brush it off, but then the other part's just like,
yeah, it's chipping away at your confidence.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
It kind of kicks you at your confidence, and over time, man, I guess that's when you, like I say, you get angry and stuff like that. Then it also dips into the other parts of your life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's crazy. Edgar Allan Poe, I guess he was a poet, you know, long time ago or whatever. They said he was a victim of that as well. So much that he was out of touch with reality, because most of his poems were, writings was about cult type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Women killing themselves and things of that nature. He said most of the poems was dark. So I can actually identify with those type of things. And then also, I think we use the fact that we're being introverted as an excuse also, you know what I'm saying? You know, when you're upset about stuff, or we like to hide in your room, because that's like your comfort zone, you know what I'm saying? Making beats and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't like to talk, because our confidence are down, you know what I'm saying? You hear a lot of producers saying they're introverted, they don't want to do such stuff, but I think that's kind of, because at the end of the day, to them, I think it's not a cool factor. You know what I'm saying? Mental health, they just kind of shy away from that. But I think the best way to deal with that is to get out more often, and, you know, I want to say don't put so much into your music, but understand it's music. You know what I'm saying? There's other avenues that can help you besides just relying on that only. You know what I'm saying? Y'all get what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
So
No, I agree wholeheartedly.
and to be honest and transparent, that's actually one of the reasons why I want to do Pastor Ox as well, and you know, the whole beatconnsc situation, because I know, and dealing with and talking to the producers and networking, I found myself in the same situation as them. You know what I'm saying? They'll spend months and months making beats, and they're kind of in a dark hole, rabbit hole, whatever. And then
all too well.
they
Sunken place, just falling back like this.
I live in there.
And so they bring the music out, you know what I'm saying, and pitch, you know, they want to get this money out of it and everything, whatnot, and essentially it comes to a point, like me, like I said, being transparent, I actually quit music because I got tired of getting rejected.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to build beatconnsc, to build that community, to kind of encourage one another. So, you know, you're not going to win every time.
Nope.
But you can find ways to win more often. You know what I'm saying? I think that's one thing that's more important. So, and then I mean, let's be real. Like, the person who doesn't make beats, I know your lady makes beats. I'm not sure about yours. Mine, she ain't, you know what I'm saying, too tuned. I can get hyped about something. She be like, all right.
My wife ain't. She's definitely not no beat.
So, and we can get somebody to speak on. We can get somebody to speak on that. But I think they look at us as kind of like we're kind of out of touch with reality a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see
because
that.
you can see, you know, so we kind of forced to put, you know, show results. You know what I'm saying? What if it's like you have a good month, you're making X amount of money, then this next month you don't make money out of making beats. It's kind of like, that's another.
Well, why are you doing this?
Right. So your significant other or another family member is like, that boy crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we, like I said, we want to build that foundation where we keep encouraging one another, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Anything you got to say about it? Or
Man, it's difficult. But the way I deal with it is, I guess, different now from how I used to deal with it. Like I just locked myself in a room and make beats because I didn't want to talk about whatever my problems were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now it's like I never have the chance to do that anymore because my kids will come in and they'll sit right there, and it's hard to be you know in a mood or depressed or anything around them. You know.
Yeah.
So you know, and the other way I deal with it is just getting it out in a song form. Like a lot of that stuff on the album is like how I was really feeling. Like I was going through some stuff, but you know, it is what it is. Like I quit my job to record that album because I didn't have any time to work on music, and I was like, I'm not gonna stifle my creativity, you know, for this job. Like this is ridiculous. I'm gonna get this album out and I'm gonna get it rolling, and that's what I did. Like I had to.
Right.
I can find another job. You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about that.
Right.
I'm gonna get this album out though. So, you know, that's normally how I deal with it. And now I just try and call people and you know just check on them, see how they doing. You know, and I'm like, no, how you really doing? Like seriously, like you can talk to me.
Yeah.
Because most people don't want to talk about anything that they have going on.
Yeah.
But if they know that they, you know, somebody's genuinely trying to reach out to them and talk to them, then that's good. Like I wrote a song on the album about that, and I said, "What's your addiction? Your need for fiction? We all got vices, some hurt to mention. We all got a crisis and need an intervention. Love for the wrong things that have you caught up in commitment." And that's real. Like you can get caught up in the wrong things and think you love them, and then you trapped.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to get away from that blunt, that drink, that pill, that whatever, because you love the feeling that it gives you. And you don't want to talk about your problems. You want to turn up. You know, you want to go do some fun stuff. You don't want to be drowned in misery and all that. But sometimes you need to get it out. Otherwise, it's gonna weigh you down.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of that.
Nah. Like I said, in fact,
I'm part of pulling somebody out of it.
Yeah. You want to be a part of the solution. You never want to be a part of the problem.
Exactly. I don't want to add to your stress. I want to pull you out of it.
Pull you out of it. Yeah, and that's one of the things I do. Is like, I mean, making beats also, but like stay around people that got something in common with me. To try to stay in a happy place. You know what I'm saying?
That's why the BeatCon, I feel like it's important for all of us because we get to sit around and connect with like-minded people and try to further our ideas through each other. Yeah. And that's great. Yeah. You know, I'm always down for that. You know, me and Pete and I have been talking about this for years, but we can never find people.
Yeah.
But we here now.
Yeah, that's That's one of BeatCon, man. Like that's one of the things we do, connecting. You know, everybody who does the same things together. You know, call it a club, call it whatever you want, but it is what it is. I think we're like one of a kind. Even aside from like musicians and stuff like that, they have their own little group. Tennessee artists and singers have their own little group, whatnot. But I don't think there's anything here in Columbia as far as what producers goes. And if you look online, you find everybody, as far as producers, got the exact same problem. So when you go to these conferences and stuff like that, they're like super excited, you know what I'm saying? Like kind of willing to do anything just for that happy moment, you know what I'm saying? And they want to stay there, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anything else that y'all want
to? Yeah, and I think you kind of hit that nail on the head with even with our purpose, as far as beatconnsc purpose, is it's not just about development as a producer, not just like this beat sounding, you know, you had whack beats, then now all of a sudden you with BeatCon, now your beats are fire. Like it's not that. It's more than that. You know what I mean? It's about building, like you said, it's about building that community, building up that culture, and also, like I said, things like personal development and stuff like that. We want to get people. Like one of the things, like with the beat battles and stuff that we want to do, and one of the things that I learned just from my personal experience of being in the battles is getting people out their shell. Getting people to show their personality, to do those things. It's not doing it it's not doing stuff to be, you know, just to be goofy, but it's to get people to build up confidence in themselves and stuff. It's like personal development, but it's using tools which you're comfortable with, as opposed to going like a lot of people aren't going to be comfortable going to sit with a counselor or sit with a therapist. They just aren't. But they can go to a beat battle, or they can go hang out at, like past the aux, hang out, talk to other people and stuff like that, and kind of got their show that way, and that helps them out a whole lot. And I've seen it just from a little bit of times. I've seen just from when we've done Pass the Art, just some of the people interacting and stuff, and seeing people opening up the further along we've gotten along with the beatcon. So yeah, and that's just what it's all about. I think at the end of the day, it's just all about everybody helping each other up and pushing each other up.
Yeah,
True.
yeah. I mean,
Very true.
Yeah.
no man's better than the other, but iron sharpens iron. So
Yep.
we want to stay rolling with that.
Preach.
It's funny because one of the guys, I don't want to mention his name, whatever, but after the first Pass the Ox, he came up and he said, "Hey man," he said, "What's going on? What I don't have?" I'm like, "Bro, you don't have confidence." You know what I'm saying? Like, stick around. I mean, I said that in a funny way, whatever, But it's like, let's not have this long, sad conversation. This is you lacking confidence. That's all.
Man.
So
Yeah.
I mean, come out, hang out with us more often. That's what I'm saying. So and be more active in the chat group and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can be there and still not do anything. Like, you have to be there and do something.
Yeah.
Talk. Hey, that beat was fire, man. Talk anything. Like, if you're just standing there and you're not saying anything, nobody's gonna just come up to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That don't work. That's not how you network.
No.
You got to reach out to people.
Yeah, because that's one of the best things about being a producer is actually being in the moment when you're doing those type of things. Ed Milet, one of those motivational speakers on YouTube, said you got to live in the moment. Whatever you love, you got to live in that moment and be happy while you're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that's real. But on a side note, don't you notice like every producer who like wins a battle? I don't know if y'all follow them too much, whatever. But those be the guys that seem like the most happiest. Besides they win, but leaving it up to that or after that, it seems like they got more charisma. I think because they keep their happiness full.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they stay around positive things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if you smoke weed and stuff like that, that's cool. But I don't want folks to use that as an enabler because it tears your body down for one. Two, certain places and states is against the law. Not saying don't do that, but using and abusing two different things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's all I got about that because I feel like it's a.
You gotta put a disclaimer on. We gotta put a disclaimer on.
Yeah, you have to put some sad violence back to that. But